who still happen to be hot, which is fine. So that's intriguing. I like that. It's calling to me. But I like it when they're a little more creepy, okay? Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you're doing well. I wanted to do my own because I know I'm seeing this everywhere and everybody has such great books that they're looking forward to this year. These are a handful of books that I have. They're all on KU. So I do have some dark stuff. I have some spicy stuff. There's a little bit of a variety. And then others, I'm not gonna lie to you, did I see the cover and was just like, oh yeah, no, I wanna read that. Yeah, I like art, okay? Like I can't help it. If the cover's good, I'm gonna read it. So let's just jump into this bad mama jamma, all right? But the first one, it's called Veiled in Stars and Silver. It's a Peter Pan retelling. I mentioned that last year. I kind of realized that I apparently have a thing for Peter Pan. More importantly, Captain Hook, honestly. But I really like the retellings of Peter Pan. So when I saw this one, I was intrigued, okay? It's a whole series. I think it's gonna be like 10 books altogether. It's by J.N. Curtis. This one comes out on May 8th, and this is the first one. But it's, you take the villain and you fall in love with them, okay? I mean, we all love that, and we all want a little bit of Captain Hook. But the idea behind this one is that Wendy, she's gone back to the normal world. Her brother stayed in Neverland. Captain Hook, she believes, has kidnapped them. So she's been just trying to get back there. She's been preparing herself. She's essentially a warrior, and she's ready to take him out. And when she gets there, Peter Pan, he kind of comes off as this shallow sort of dude, and she's starting to question her memories a little bit. But all she wants is her little brothers. So she goes to Captain Hook, she seeks him out, and he basically makes a deal with her. But of course he's, you know, really good looking, okay? And a charmer, like a pirate should be. And he starts coming on to her, but he basically tells her, if you get this weapon that destroys Neverland, I will give you your brothers back. So she takes the deal, and I think they're going to work together in order to get that weapon. It's supposed to be very spicy. I'm excited, if you can tell in my voice. I'm starting to make things up in my mind already. I have a thing for Captain Hook, man. Jesus Christ. But I'm hoping it's gonna be good. I'm going in with the intention that this is meant to be a spicy book. But that one's May 8th. This next one actually has already come out. I originally was supposed to be doing this video back when I had the funeral stuff going on, so some of these might already be out, okay? But this next one is called Vines of the Underworld, and I'll be straight, talking about my intro. This is the one where I actually saw the cover, and I was like, oh, I want to read this one. I saw the cover of the second book, if I'm being completely honest, and it has a really good name. What is it? The second book is called Pillars of the Firmament. Okay, I'm hooked by the name alone, but this cover, I'm totally getting like Pirates of the Caribbean sort of vibes. So I'm here for it. Whoever did the artwork, whoever came up with the name, I feel like you're already talented. The first book is called Vines of the Underworld, so that's already out now. The second book is January 25th, so that technically should also be out. And then the third book, Miss of Elysium, will be April 22nd, 2024. But the whole premise behind this is, of course, the Fae, because the Fae is everywhere. But it sounds like it's a little bit of this reverse harem, dark, urban fantasy, it sounds like, which is normally not my thing, but I want to give it a go. But there's essentially these 4 Fae men who their world is essentially dying, and in the human world there's kind of like these little sparks of magic within humans, and they're basically trying to hunt those people down because they need this magic in order for their land to survive. So they're hunting all of these humans. They find this girl, of course, which apparently there is going to be some mental health rep in here as well. She's definitely an introvert, definitely struggles communicating with people, but they find her, and it sounds like they're going to start to kind of build a more loving, romantic relationship. And it sounds like they're going to bring her back, and they're going to try and figure out how they can utilize her to make their land come back to life again. So it has an interesting premise within here. It is mentioned to be dark. It is mentioned to be spicy. It sounds like a reverse harem. So I'm kind of intrigued because it does say it's like an urban fantasy storyline, and I'm not an urban girly. That's just not my vibe. So I'm kind of curious how they're gonna work the Fae and the urban side into it when the synopsis sounds very fantasy, sort of environmental vibes, you know? So the next one, this one, honestly, it's in the name. This is technically book 4 that I found. That's the one coming out. So we can read the other 3 until that one comes out, okay? Perks. The 4th book is the one coming out on March 31st. And I didn't really go too much into the synopsis. I just kind of grabbed a couple key things here. But it says it's kind of like this cute, kooky, comedic, sort of cute, cozy fantasy, but it's dark stuff. It's called I'm Not a Mourning Person, or at least the fourth one is. So it sounds like there's stuff to do with like the Grim Reapers and more dark sort of elements, but making it very kooky and playful, which is very me. So I figured I'd give this one a go. It mentions it's very cozy, so I felt that was like also good for me because I have a tendency to get attracted to the dark stuff. And then I, most of the time, don't even like it all that much, but I'm attracted to the dark stuff. I can't help it. But again, this is book 4, so all 3 of the other books are out and we can read them. So I need to give that a go, but I figured I'd mention it. That's like the only like cute, sweet book on here, but that's okay. It's okay. The next one is Awoke by K.T. Conte. It sounds really freaking neat. It's a paranormal fantasy. It has a sick-ass cover. Whoever did the art on this, that's really good. I think I might actually buy this one. I think this would look so gorgeous displayed. But this one is something I don't typically grab or like gravitate towards. And I honestly think that's just because I haven't really seen a lot of stuff like this. You guys can tell me, but this is more of kind of like, it's not like necessarily heaven and hell, but it has to do more so with like life and death. And the way that this synopsis is actually written, I highly recommend you go read it. The synopsis is beautifully written. But we have a girl who is immortal and she's able to essentially see the dead and see spirits and kind of talk with them and whatnot. And then we also have Grim Reapers. So there's a lot of them. And essentially your Grim Reapers are the ones that are kind of more protective of, or the protectors against the like malevolent spirits that are at play. And it sounds like our mortal girl is going to be the one that's able to kind of come together with one of the Reapers named Gregor, and they're going to kind of, I guess, fight against these malevolent spirits who are refusing to essentially move on and transition into the beyond. But one of the sentences that it mentioned is it said basically, she's the one who's standing between hope and havoc. So I like this idea. There's just a taste in the synopsis of what this is without giving tons of details. So I'm not fully clear exactly how the storyline's gonna go, which is kind of honestly good for me because I have a tendency to just, my brain will start to come up with ideas. So I'm a little bit blind in a way, if that makes sense. But when you scroll down even further, it kind of mentions what this is going to be similar towards. And it's nice to finally see something that has a blurb where it's not comparing it to ACOTAR or Blood and Ash, things like that. It's nice to see that it's compared to some other stuff. But it basically says it's the spiritual battles of Bleach, which I'm not familiar with, and the transformative journeys of Sailor Moon captivated you. And if you've been enthralled by novels like City of Bones, Daughter of Smoke and Bone, and the dark supernatural realms of Angelfall, then Awoke is your next adventure. It sounds really good. And again, the cover, whoever did the artwork on that is just magnifico. But again, that's Awoke. That's coming out March 31st. Oh, not March 31st. Sorry, February 1st. Ooh, actually, that means it's out now. By the time that I'm filming this, that's out now. I need to start that. Okay. Anyways, sorry. Go read it. We can read it together. I don't know. Okay. Anyways. This one. Okay. This is another one I'm really excited about. This one is, again, there's aspects of it that is new and fresh to me. So this one's called Castle of Nevers and Nightmares. Jesus. Comes out February 26th, so very, very soon. And this sounds like it also has the potential with some really good story. Definitely a fantasy, definitely has spice. This is a why choose again, but the storyline's really intriguing. Kind of reminds me of the Hunger Games a little bit, but we have Fae again, but they're called like the Fae Devils, and there's also this phrasing of calling them the Fae Boogeymen, so that's intriguing. I like that. I like when the Fae have more of that trickster sort of vibe. They're not just pretty, but I want that kind of creepy, horrific element to a fae. And I think this has the potential for that. But essentially our girl here, well actually before I even get into that, the world. It sounds like we're in winter at this point, and while winter's going on, I guess the war kind of stops. So I think a war is already starting, but it's on like a pause. And the queen, our fae queen, she holds this tournament where essentially what they do is they utilize the fae that are not pretty. So pretty fae are still involved. But the Fae that aren't pretty, they're essentially chosen to go into this, and they're basically the tributes, if you will, who are going to be participating in this tournament where people die. And that's basically what they use the tournament for, is to get rid of the blights on the Fae society. And our girl, she was cursed at some point in the back in her past to make her on the outside as ugly as she is on the inside. So already we probably have a complex character. But they're reliant, each of these tributes are reliant on basically the capital. They need to have more of the rich sort of elite Fae sponsor them, if you will. And the people who do it are the House of Shadows, which are these 6 men who are the boogeymen who actually cursed her. So she has to live with them, she has to try and get them to befriend her, all this stuff, but she's starting to learn more about their background and why they did what they did, and who she can trust, if she can trust all of them, some of them, or none of them, while also participating in a tournament where people are dying like flies. So things are starting to become very, very questionable. People are starting to die outside of the tournament anyways. So it sounds like things are changing within the realm. So we have a looming war that's about to come back, that is about to start up again. We have this tournament going on. We have this complex internal character of our female lead. And then we have these 6 guys that she's trying to figure out if they're actually good, bad, or whatever. And it sounds like it could be just like an insane freaking time. It sounds like the world building's really good. It sounds like we got action in this. We got spice in this. It's why I choose. I'm excited for it. And it sounds like we have like tricky sort of Fae who still happen to be hot, which is fine. I didn't say that they don't have to be hot, but I like it when they're a little more creepy, okay? And the title says enough. Also, the cover on this is really cool too. So just saying. But it's supposed to be a slow burn. It's supposed to have really, really good tension, which us romance readers freaking live for. It has horror in it. It does have dark situations, so check the trigger warnings. And it's that tournament sort of vibe. So again, I think it has probably pulls a lot from like the Hunger Games. So we'll see. I also typically don't read tournaments. So we'll see what happens. Again, February 26th on that one, so not much more of a wait. Now the 6th book I have, this is called A Secret Shared with Death by Ariella Isabella, coming out April 9th. And the cover on this, okay, like, do we really need to talk about it? The cover. Okay, it's beautiful. I know it doesn't have like tons of colors and things like that, but the black and the red, the skull, like it's calling to me. But the storyline for this one, it sounds like there's more of the fantasy element is more of your central plot and the romance is more secondary. It literally notes that it has a dash of romance with the trauma. It relates it a lot to the Plated Prisoner series, which I know a lot of people were really into. Still haven't read it. I technically started it. But I haven't read it yet. But I know a lot of you guys liked it. So the idea behind this is it's elves. So hey, starting to get away from the Fae a little bit. So we have elves, and it sounds like our girl, she's an elf, she has power, but compared to everybody else, I think maybe she doesn't really know how to utilize it yet, or she hasn't recognized it. But her town or her village is essentially burned down by one of the elf kings. And she immediately kind of starts to get this feeling of like she wants retribution, she wants revenge. So she's just like getting this itch underneath her skin, which I think is gonna be her magic. But she starts to hear like these voices calling out to her, and it ends up being the Lord of Death. So maybe we're gonna have a little bit of like some Hades vibes. But he's telling her that he can give her what she wants. Just take my hand and I can help you. So she's gonna kind of get thrust into more of this godlike world. So I think she's taken into more of the god realm, and she's gonna be plotting and discovering herself, discovering her powers, and how she actually wants to take this king down. But it sounds like the king, who did burn down everything and wants to use her power for his crusade, it sounds like he's gonna start sweet talking her. I don't know if he officially starts to fall in love with her. Can't quite tell if this is a love triangle or if this is more of a farce. But it sounds like we're gonna definitely have multiple love interests at play. Don't necessarily know if this is a why choose, but it sounds like death could be an option, and it sounds like this king can be an option. So this could have some really cool dynamic within it, but it is supposed to be very, very dark. Definitely check the trigger warnings on that. I don't think she's ever going to be like a good heroine sort of character. I think we're really going to be watching like a villain really delivering on this aspect of she's going to exact revenge on this king or attempt to. It doesn't sound like she's really saving anyone. She just really wants to punish them. So I'm intrigued. I think it looks cool. The cover, again, is something that really sucked me in, but I want to see how it's gonna play out story-wise, since it is more of like a secondary plot is the romance. But I'm excited about it. It's April 9th, A Secret Shared with Death by Ariella Isabella. The last books that I have for now are ones that I'm not really gonna go into because they're like second books. But Leather and Lark comes out June 4th. That's the second book in the whole Butcher and Blackbird. Cute But Creepy comes out March 20th by Beatrix Hollow. And then Carnival Creeps already actually came out January 29th. So those all have that dark, more killer sort of vibes. People definitely becoming unalived, more serial killer sort of essence. But hopefully you guys liked those. Hopefully some of them spoke to you. A lot of them I'm really jiving with. Awoke is one I really need to start. That cover, but the story. Oh, I hope it's really good. I'll catch you guys later. You have a great rest of your week. And if there's any other books actually that you have found that you recommend for me, let me know, okay? Because of course I'm building up my list. But anyways, bye.